Oh, that was very short, sharp, steep and sweaty climb up here, but I think it's going to be worth it. Hello there, and you join me at the top of this spectacular mountain for 24 hours in the Lake District. I'm up high at the moment, got these beautiful warm sunny conditions where I'm hoping to capture some beautiful mountainous sunset type shot, and then I'm staying over, camping in my car somewhere, and in the morning we're going to get down by that lake where we're going to have very cloudy conditions in the morning, and I'm going to utilize that with some beautiful, moody, soft, long exposures. So there's two very different shoots coming up. Before we get into it today though, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you need a domain name, a website or an online store, then make your next move with Squarespace. So I would really like it if you were to come with me, and yeah, let's go. So I'm set up for a shot in advance. I apologise for the wind noise if it's bothering you. These microphones are pretty good these days. I've just got to try not to shout too much because it still picks up my voice. But as you can see behind me, I've got this absolutely stunning view. The conditions are currently quite interesting because we've got a few wispy bits of high altitude cloud which could really make this scene pop. It is forecast to get a bit cloudier. As it is at the moment though, I'm not that interested in that view. If I get some high clouds, I will be when sunset comes and I get some colour. At the moment though, I'm finding it much more interesting over my shoulder this way as we turn into the wind, because we also have forecast of low cloud coming in over those western Lake District mountains later on, or in about an hour or so. But it's starting to happen now, and that to me is a much more interesting scene. So I'll turn back out to the wind towards the camera, and I have the 70-200 lens on because the foreground is fairly interesting. We've got a little bit of flowering heather still left, but that makes the mountains quite small, and the clouds, as it's rolling over those mountains towards me, I've got the different bits of light as the sun is coming in from the west. It's low down now, and those clouds are just warming up all the time. I've got different tones on the side of the mountains, the different layers as we go through the valley, and it just looks really quite incredible. So I'm in about 100mm. I'm playing around a little bit with the focal length, a couple a little bit further out, a couple a bit further in. I just want to get it right. There are two peaks which are both have little caps of cloud on top of them rolling over towards me, and I'm kind of making them the center of this image. I'm just going to look through the viewfinder because it is very bright to see the back of the screen, but I mean it's just lovely layers of different colored light as we're going through. I've got some warmer golden light on the mountains closer to me, then it kind of goes into this bluish misty hazy color in the middle, then we go up into those brighter highlights in the sky with the blues, and some starting to get some yellow light on those clouds. It's actually a really interesting layered image, and like I say, much more interesting I think than what's going on behind me. I have focused in on one of the peaks closer to me. I'm at f11, which will be fine. I'm at ISO 200 because I just want to bump up the shutter speed with this long lens on to freeze any movement that it's still going to get on this ball head, tripod head. So I'm currently at 1/320th of a second. Oh, it's windy. Now, and I think that's going to work. It's making my eyes water. Right, let's look through, focus in one last time. Just lock that off, yes. 2-second timer, ready to shoot. There we go. I've got the lens hood on, sun's coming over from the side there, so that's keeping any flare out of the image. Let's have a look at that. Zoom in, lovely. I've got good exposure across that image. I'll still probably use a gradient filter in post to bring the sky down just a little bit. Lovely layers. The sort of Lake District mountainous image that I'm really loving at the moment. And it's full of drama. And the haze is just coming in all the time, which is, as the sun gets a little bit lower, should warm up the colours as well. But yeah, as the first shot of this 24-hour trip in the Lake District. I am really rather pleased with that. And as the wind starts to die down, just for a minute, I'm finding that peace that I was looking for. Times are tough at the moment, aren't they, with the pandemic and talk of another lockdown and the anxiety and uncertainty about what's to come over the winter. And I'm like anybody else, I've got my own issues. I've had my kids off school for 6 months, which was sort of heartbreaking to watch and difficult for us to juggle. And I wanted a break. I wanted an escape, and photography was always that escape for me. So I've left it all behind. I've put everything behind me, and I'm enjoying this escape already. Just 24 hours to get my head together, to have some fun and just to relax and hopefully capture 3 or 4 really print-worthy images, essentially. So when I thought about getting away and having a break from it all, I wanted to do something difficult, because I think by working hard and doing something difficult, that's much better for your mind and for your body. Trekking up somewhere like this, it's better for you than just relaxing and not doing much for 24 hours. So by hiking up here, getting that oxygen going, it sparks my mind, it fires those creative juices. Although it's going to be difficult at times, it was certainly difficult hiking up here, at the end of it, I'm going to come away much more fulfilled and feeling like I've done something that's really been fun, in hindsight particularly. So the sun is just about to set, as you can see, over behind that mountain. But I'm now starting to get some clouds appearing over there. I have also, it's so windy, taken more shots over there as that cloud has been developing and it's warmed up a bit. Ooh, it's exciting though. Look at that sun just about to disappear off my face. Good fun flying the drone in this wind as well. Just think I got some nice shots there, but it's looking so good over there. So good. I'm going to do a little bit more, then I'm going to get going. Woo. Woo-hoo. So looking behind me now at the lake, that low hill fog or hill cloud is starting to come over the distant peaks. Now that's exactly what I'm interested in the morning from the lakeside, but I think I've lost the light now. I don't think when that sun gets any lower, it's going to do much to this scene. So I'm just going to trek it back down whilst I've still got a little bit of light, because it was very steep coming up. So I need to be a little bit careful. So I can get it back down, get some food, get cozy in my car. This is definitely the worst part of these videos, hiking back down in the dark. These meals are so satisfying after a day climbing in the mountains. This light is very bright, so I can't see anything else other than the light and the food, but I am in quite nice surroundings. I know you can boil it in the bag as well, but it just doesn't look as good on camera. That's why I do that, but so good. Morning. It was a difficult night's sleep last night. That car is good, but if it was about 3 inches longer, it would have been perfect. So I kept waking up, but all that is completely forgotten now on what is an absolutely stunning morning. This is exactly the kind of conditions that I was hoping for. I don't know what it is about this spot, but those distant mountains and this lake always look fantastic in these sort of overcast but bright conditions, and that's exactly what I've got now. The sun has just risen above the horizon anyway. Sunrise at 7 o'clock. It's going to be coming up above that crag behind me there. It's obviously not going to see the sun, but some of that brighter light is just poking its way or pushing through the clouds, and it's just creating this amazing atmosphere. There's barely any wind, which is kind of making me feel like I need to whisper, but it's just stunning conditions. I'm here all by myself. It feels good, and it's just reward for sleeping in the car. And when you wake up in the location that you're going to be shooting, you somehow just feel a little bit more connected to it immediately, and that's exactly how I'm feeling now. So I've got the camera set up for an image, and I've got that little island there, which again I've done or shot before, but I don't really want that in the image. I want this to follow on of a series of images that I've been working on, which have a kind of very blue tone to them, and it is very blue at the moment. That blue light coming through, a few greys in there as well, but it's just got that right feeling for this series of images. I don't want the island in there, essentially, and I also don't want too much of that crag in the scene that way. So I think it's either going to be an 8x10 or a square crop. But for the foreground of my image, I'm using these two little items here. I've got a rock and then this old log just there, which is creating some beautiful reflections and just catching that light really nicely where it's wet. And that's just looking fantastic as the foreground. Then I'm going into a lake which is very still but has a slight breeze, and that's working for me. It's creating several different tones going through the midground of the image. I've then got the mountains in the distance and the sky, which has got some nice detail in the cloud, but I'm making it a long exposure as well. So I have the camera down nice and low because I want that rock and that log to be relatively prominent in this image. So I'm going for f11 because I just need to focus on the rock, basically, because everything else is quite soft in the distance. So I don't need to worry too much about the focus on that, and it's going to be just right at f11 anyway. I'm then at ISO 100, and that's giving me a shutter speed of 30 seconds, but with the addition of the 6-stop filter, I then have a shutter speed of about 1 minute and 25 seconds, which is serving to smooth out the water. Even though there's only very slight ripples in it, I have some nice reflections in there anyway. If I can just remove them, it's going to be even better. And then I'll get a little bit of movement in the cloud just to enhance what's going on anyway, those smooth clouds with different tones. And I've got some light coming over Waller Crag now, some slightly more yellow light. So I'm going to fire away, 2-second timer, and that's going to produce a rather beautiful, maybe slightly dramatic image as well to start off this day. I feel very good right now. Didn't get much sleep, but when you're waking up to that, does it really matter? No, it doesn't. Anyway, I'll show you that in a minute, and then I'm going to get a cup of coffee going. This is what it's about. I always say that, but it is. One of the things I always talk about is making a connection with the landscape. And like I said, when you wake up in that landscape, it becomes a little bit easier. But this little tree here, I have started to build quite a little relationship with, I think. I shared the first time I shot this a couple of weeks ago, the place where I'm stood now, and all these rocks were completely under the water because there'd been a lot of rain. It's been a little bit drier now. So it's now on this beautiful bit of rock just sticking out, little lone tree, and it's also, the leaves on it are starting to go a little bit autumnal. So as a subject for an image, it's beautiful, and I'm very excited about it today, particularly in these conditions, because the distant mountains are still in the cloud, and that is giving me some separation between the tree and the background. Last time I shot it, I kept it below the horizon and used the water to create that separation, but with all this rock, this time I've got the camera down nice and low to just, as we go down, just bring that tree up in the composition, to bring it mostly above the horizon, and that is what I'm going for right now. This little bit of land to the left of the frame, I'm not particularly a fan of in the image. It is creeping in a little bit because just the way the composition works. The tree is over to the left-hand side. Then I've got Waller Crag behind me again there, balancing out the right-hand side of the image. So it's kind of about the mountains and then the tree on the left-hand side, but that bit is creeping in. So either I might consider cloning it out, or again, just crop down to an 8x10, and that should work quite nicely. But what I've got going for me as well at the moment is just this beautiful light. I've got the sun poking through little gaps in the cloud now, and I've also got gaps in the cloud in front of me as well. I can see little bits of blue sky. I've then got that yellowish, warm kind of sunrise colour still going on, and that sky is just full of so many different tones, which is just working so beautifully. I've then got the slightly autumnal colours of the tree. I've got the rock with all this moss on it. I've got that beautiful blue coloured water and higher cloud as well. Just beautiful tones all the way through the image, but soft tones, and I think it's going to work out really, really well. So settings wise this time, no filters, nothing particularly special going on with anything on the front. I focused on the tree because that's my subject. Again, if the background's a little bit out of focus, then it doesn't matter, but it won't be. It'll be all in focus at f11, 1/20th of a second. I'm bracketing 2 stops either side because I want to get the detail of the tree and the detail of the clouds in the highlights. So I'm doing that, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm just ready to shoot. 2-second timer, bracketed shots, like I said. The light's just beautiful. I've got the gap in the cloud up there, look, sending light onto the tree itself, and the bark is picking up that light and just looks fantastic. Let's have a look at that. Oh, the sky just looks fantastic. The tree looks great. Even the rock in the foreground looks good. I'm really happy with that in a way that I didn't think I was going to be. But me and this little tree here have got something going on. I will show you that in a minute, but before I do, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the place to go if you need a website. And if you are a photographer who's starting to get serious, then you do need one. It's a great place to share your images. There's loads of beautiful templates that you can pick from. They've got great customer service if anything unforeseen does happen. And then as you grow your business, Squarespace will grow with you, and you can start selling your prints and your products and start to just make a little bit of money on the side, perhaps, if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, it's just a great place to showcase the work that you're producing. So go to squarespace.com to start your free trial today. And then if you like what you've created, use the offer code FIRSTMAN to get 10% off your first purchase. Anyway, this has been, it's just been one of the most relaxing, slightly difficult. I've done lots of exercise, but it's just been fantastic. A little breakaway for 24 hours. And right now I'm feeling good. I'm feeling rejuvenated. My well-being feels like it's just got a big boost. And what I love about landscape photography is that I now have an image or images to go home and post-process and play with, and that creative process just keeps on going and keeps on going, and I just love it. And I know it's why so many of you love it as well, but I will leave it there. I'll show you the image, and then I should have a pretty sweet time lapse of this to finish off as well. So I'm Adam, this is First Man Photography, out.